Thank you, Madam President. I rise today to speak in favor of the reauthorization of the Workforce Investment Act. I'd first like to thank Senator Johnny Isakson of Georgia, Senator Patty Murray of Washington, Senator Lamar Alexander of Tennessee, and Senator Tom Arkin of Iowa for their hard work on this bill. You can see from that list of senators alone that this has been a truly bipartisan effort to reauthorize this Workforce Investment Act. And of course, you've heard through the course of this discussion how on the House side, Klein and Miller and Fox and Mimosa worked on it. And that's bipartisan from that side of the building. And the two have been working together, which is bicameral. That doesn't happen a lot around here, but on bills that make it through to the president's signature, it does happen. And it's happened on this one. I want to thank a lot of the senators who have had suggestions for this bill. A lot of those suggestions have wound up in here. Some of them had amendments that we'll have to continue to work on in the future. And they were very gracious in revising some of those so that they would fit with what we're doing and we could still get the bill done. I know that Tim Scott could have taken a lot more credit for what he did in the House when it came over here, but been extremely cooperative in using his knowledge on this bill to further the bill. Senator Portman, another critical one in working on it, and as you can tell from the passionate speech by Senator Coburn, that there are things that could be done and will need to be done in the future to make it an even better bill. But it's something that all of government ought to be doing, not just the workforce. This is a day of elation for me. We've been working to improve this program for over 11 years. For 11 years, this could have made a big difference in our country and jobs. That's right, the Workforce Investment Act has been due for reauthorization for 11 years. Who says the Senate works fast? Who says the Senate works slow? Hopefully the Senate works and gets it right. I'm hopeful that now is the time that we'll be able to get this important piece of legislation renewed and provide some much needed help to American workers and businesses through the new profile that it provides. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act will transform the sometimes bureaucratic federal job training system into a streamlined program that can help many more people learn the skills they need to get meaningful jobs. The reauthorization will eliminate 15 programs identified as ineffective or duplicative. We don't do that around here very often. Or 21 federal mandates on state and local workforce boards. That's what we need to be doing throughout government. This bill would apply common performance measures for all programs with a focus on employment outcomes and employer satisfaction with the trained workers. This would provide stronger accountability for taxpayer dollars. These are all changes that are long overdue. This piece of legislation also gives authority back to the state governments and equips them with tools to help small businesses. This bill provides governors and state workforce directors what they told us they needed in hearing after hearing after hearing. They wanted flexibility to use the money where it was most needed. Yes, there were stovepipes where we required them to do certain things with the money, even if they didn't have customers that needed that part of the stovepipe, which meant some of the money went begging. So we're actually, by eliminating some of the stovepipes, making the money more effective in this program. And it increases the value of the money that's there. With this reauthorization, states will be better able to meet the regional economic demands and provide training for jobs in which quality workers are in short supply. We can help people get back to work by offering training for the skills and services needed in their community. State and local officials are in the best position to determine the labor and job training needs of communities across the nation. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act will also help improve our current stagnant economy and foster an economic environment for private sector job creation. If it works as it should, then hundreds of thousands of people will be able to move into available jobs that are vacant because folks don't have the right skills. I remember the New York Times sent their reporters out to see if there were any jobs available in the New York area, and they came back and reported there were thousands of jobs. There just weren't people trained to be able to do those jobs. That's what this bill is designed to do. Local businesses will finally be able to find workers in their communities who have the particular skill sets that need to grow and expand their businesses. The job training programs that are included in the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act are what will get our economy going again. Job training programs are especially important to small population states like Wyoming, where skilled workers are in high demand and the supply is short. We recently broke ground on the Wind River Job Corps Center in Riverton, Wyoming. The 7-building center will house 300 students and be the first of its kind in Wyoming. When the center opens in the next year or so, my constituents will be able to get the job training they need to succeed in their careers. This project would not have been possible without the determination of the people of Wyoming, the cooperation of the communities around there to provide the facilities and the land that was necessary, and legislation like the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. I particularly want to thank Senator Harkin for his recognition as part of the Appropriations Committee that Wyoming and New Hampshire were the two states that didn't have a Job Corps Center, and the help that he gave us in being sure that there was money set aside to be able to do that Job Corps Center. I also appreciate the emphasis on youth build that's in there, where young people can work during the summer to actually learn a trade while they improve their community. On a broader scale, America is facing an economic climate that threatens our ability as a nation to compete in the global marketplace. This bill sends a clear message that we're serious about helping our American workers and employers remain competitive, and that we're serious about closing the skills gap that's putting America's long-term competitiveness in jeopardy. I've been on the floor recently discussing articles that declared that our current Congress could be the worst ever, and that negotiating political agreement is a lost art. More often than not this year, senators have had no opportunity to weigh in, and dissenting opinions are rarely considered. But the Help Committee has broken through the logjam and produced a bipartisan bill with a bicameral effort that's going to get through the Senate without cloture, without filling the amendment tree, or any of the other procedural tricks. That's a testament to the hard work of Senators Harkin, Alexander, Murray, Isaacson, and their staffs, and others who have worked on this bill. Their efforts an example all of us should keep in mind when thinking about how we can and should operate. Almost half of today's sitting senators have been here less than 6 years, so they haven't seen many times when the Senate has worked like it should, like it could, like it did. I urge them to keep this Workforce Investment Act bill in mind. The Help Committee had the first opportunity to shape the legislation. Members were able to iron out unintended consequences and input there. That's how committees work. And then Senators Harkin, Alexander, Murray, and Isaacson gave all 100 members of the Senate the opportunity to improve the legislation. And it's important to note that this isn't the first time the Help Committee has followed this process. A few months ago, we passed the Community Development Block Grant for children education after it went through committee and after amendments were offered. I'm glad that the full Senate is finally considering reauthorization of this important piece of legislation. I urge my fellow senators to pass this bicameral, bipartisan agreement based on common sense policies that will stimulate growth and the economy. The education and job training programs provided by this Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act are too important to working families, businesses, local communities, and our nation's economy to delay it.